You go for it, Mike. Is that when you gave him his nickname?
It's on your Instagram, right, Mike? You asked him, or no, that was somebody else. I forget who it was.
Gosh.
No, I know it was you. I mean, I thought you were talking to like Jason Kelsey or something. Yeah, right.
Next level. You're okay. I'm just watching the end of this Seattle game. That's disingenuous. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Showdown, live before lock, Sunday night edition. We got the Dolphins, we got the Chargers. Gonna be a good one. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. If not for me, hit it for my boy Jordan Klein, who's going to be at the game tonight. Nice high-level living if you can do it. It's a good gig if you can get it, that's for damn sure. But hit the like button for my guy there. We got Mike Lawrence there behind the virtual glass. Looking forward to this one. Presented by No House Advantage. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about their product because, I don't know, do you like overlay? Do you like free money? I like those things, so you're going to like No House Advantage. One thing I also like is my fellow Minnesota brethren. I mean, I'm from South Dakota, but all my sports interests are aligned Minnesota. My whole family's from Minnesota, so there we go. Don't feel so bad about it. It's Player Q DFS on the Twitters, the host of the High Stakes Podcast. Does a lot of great high-level stuff in the Showdown streets on the Fantasy Cruncher, does a bunch of videos for us, doing a bunch of live before locks too. It is Neil Orfield. My dude, how you doing?
I'm doing well. This is, as I was talking to, I believe it was Freshka on Twitter, a guy that I talk about best ball with, and he calls this best ball Christmas today, and that is absolutely right. I woke up excited about it. It's been a fun day just tracking all of my best ball. I actually played minimal DFS because I was so excited about my best ball lineups. I have so many that are bubbling right now, and I don't know. It seems like I'm right where I was at the beginning of the day, which is fine. You know, I think I lost a couple that were in the money, and I gained a couple, so it'll be. But I've got these games are going to be fun ones for me as well. So it's been a fun day. Did you do any best ball, Eric?
I didn't do as much on Underdog as what I was anticipating. Obviously did a couple in the Best Ball Mania, did a couple in, we did drafts out in Chicago. I did almost all the DK stuff. I maxed a lot of the things DK because, you can do some more of the 20 max stuff. It's like a $5 you're able to get in over there for the 150s. So did a lot more on DK this year, which is very rare for me. I do like the Underdog product a little bit more. I think it's easier to track too while the season's going on. So I think the sweat's a little bit better. And I kind of like the way that everything breaks down. But let's just say Evan Ingram, probably an important piece when we're talking best ball. If he could have sleeked through the cracks a little bit, we haven't had a tight end performance like that all year, other than Travis Kelce, period. End of story.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. Unfortunately, I think I'm a little bit under the field on Evan Ingram, so he is not somebody I was really rooting for in best ball. I had him in one or two DFS lineups, but I don't think I had any stacks of Trevor Lawrence with Evan Ingram, which was obviously the nuts. Actually, on the contrary, Brian Hooper recommended Trevor Lawrence stacks, and he recommended Zay Jones. I don't remember if he recommended the other part of it, which was pretty important, the Evan Ingram part. But I saw he was leading the early slate, had that 3-man stack, so. Good for him. He didn't end up winning, but still had that was a stack that you needed today. I did not have that one, but looking okay anyway.
Yeah, I ran into a couple of them out of my 150, and then I kind of was pivoting around some things, and I ended up being a big Deebo Samuel fan. I already am pretty invested in Deebo Samuel in the Rainmaker streets, so I mean there were a lot of freaky things. But as soon as I saw ankle and not knee that came up on the old notification, started buying some cards, started flipping some cards, made a decent profit on some of those. So as long as he's coming back before the end of the year, I still think I'll end up making good on Deebo Samuel. Very happy to hear that he avoided some kind of a serious injury because it did not look good live. But also, we don't play doctors. We just have to assume and hope that things break our way from time to time. But anything else about the main slate or the best ball streets before we start diving in to the lovely little showdown we have before us.
Yeah, not really. I mean, if anybody was tracking my 555 on DraftKings, which I posted about several times, that one got just crushed today. So I'm not gonna be advancing with my 555, sadly. But Jerick McKinnon did me well. But yeah, we can stop talking about basketball. I don't think people are here.
Who talked about Jerick McKinnon on Live Before Lock? I wonder who that could have been.
Rumor has it that you were very high on Jerick. I watched. I guess I didn't finish. I think I did not finish.
Live you always need to finish
before Lock, so I didn't. Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks. So I didn't hear the Jerick McKinnon love, sadly. I wish I had stuck around for the whole thing. I was too busy making lineups and whatnot.
22%.
Very
feels
nice.
Good. That's a tough one. You got to take the victory laps. It's hard to victory lap when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback and you just know you're a pass catching back. And I don't know. It's kind of not very Minnesotan of you. Jerick McKinnon basically still a Viking.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy. I was cheering for him all day because of my best ball, but yeah, I did not play him in DFS, sadly.
All right, Scott Foster, hello to you as well. Good to see all the usual suspects. My boy Sean V. Lindy was on it. I had McKinnon at 8% in the afternoon slate. Yeah, the afternoon slate, I'm way over on McKinnon, so that was good. Unfortunately, way over on Deebo Samuel, and even in an afternoon slate, it's almost amplified because people just find ways around the 15 points that he put up at 6,100 because Jerry Jeudy just smashing faces at infinity percent on that. I liked him on the main slate, but I couldn't get there on the afternoon. Anywho, we're moving on. This is a forward-looking show. We are going towards the Miami, visiting the Chargers here in LA at, I forgot the name of the stadium, SoFi Stadium. That is what it is. There you go. We're looking at a really interesting football game here. I was doubling back on inactives, making sure that I didn't miss anything. Anything that stands out to you with this game before we start diving in?
I mean, it's a really fun one. That's the one that really stands out to me. These are two teams that are high-powered offenses, not the best defenses in the world. It's an exciting one. That's the only high-level thing I have to say about this game is I'm excited. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, we're going to talk through it here quite a bit, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Right now, as it stands, I have one lineup because, again, I just ended up sweating this Deebo Samuel stuff so hard. I had to get insurance policies out on all my 49ers bets that I have, all of these other things. It's Brocktober, though, friends. Shout out Iowa State. My guy looks so good. But we are ready. I'm going to try to build a couple lineups as we're going across on this slate. But we start with the game. Miami, -3. They are favorites going into LA, 54.5 total. And you know how we do things. We go position by position here on this show. And we'll start with the road quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not the biggest Tua fan, but this is showdown. We're talking about a quarterback that has extremely intriguing pass catchers that go along with him. My question to you, at his current ownership that I'm looking at here over on DraftKings and FanDuel, how do you feel about Tua as an option?
I like Tua quite a bit. So I'm looking at our tools. That's always the first place I start when I'm making these decisions. And I see Tua a little bit over-owned in the captain spot, but pretty under-owned in the util spot. We're seeing 11% projected ownership in the captain spot, 10% chance of being optimal. So slight negative leverage. That's not really going to scare me away from Tua too much. But then in the util spot, we've got 48% projected ownership, 54% chance of being optimal. So I like Tua quite a bit. As you said, he's got a lot of great weapons. He scores fantasy points. He's had a few really big games this year, and I think this is a spot where he could certainly have a big game. It's probably going to be a shootout. So, yeah, the quarterbacks, both quarterbacks are really great options on this one game slate that's expected to be a shootout.
Yeah, it's expected to be a shootout. I think it's very much going to be a shootout. How are you feeling about Tua up in the old captain spot? I always feel like I always want to start off with that talking quarterbacks.
Yeah, so I mean, slight negative leverage there, but that's not going to scare me away. I think that Tua is a great option. I would say that I probably prefer, if I have Tua in the captain spot, I think I'd like to have at least 2 pass catchers from the Dolphins somewhere in the lineup. He did score. He's rushed in for 3 touchdowns each of the past 2 years. So I guess maybe that's in his bag of tricks. He could score a rushing touchdown, or maybe you get away with 1 Dolphin in the flex. But generally, I think I'd prefer to have multiple. He hasn't scored a rushing touchdown this year. He has, the past 2 years that he's played, he had, but this year, 0 rushing touchdowns and just 35 total rushing yards through 10 games. So not showing much with his legs. I'd prefer to get there with multiple pass catching options in the flex.
I was waiting for the propaganda train to hop into chat. There he is, Notorious B.I.G., also known as Nick Lepre. $5,000 winner, Nick Lepre, last week. That's better than I had last week. I can tell you that much. My dude, congrats on the Bink. Cleveland sub 1% in the what was it? The Pat Mayo deal. That's so good to see from the little man, my little son. Good work, buddy. But yeah, also he's just going to be fucking annoying on this show. There's no doubt about it, right?
We're talking about Nick.
Yeah, because he's getting the Dolphin fandom. Yeah, just get out of here.
Yeah, it's over the top. The Dolphin fandom from Nick. Yeah. Come on, man.
He says some inappropriate things. I may have just sworn on this show, but you know what else? That's what happens when he starts talking about Tua in such hushed tones.
I'm debating whether it would have been a better show with Nick here with us, or if it would have just been terrible because he would just be. Would he add insight, or would it just be too much?
A god. He's a god, and Tua, he slings it out there the same way that I'm slinging. I don't know. He would say something inappropriate on the back end of that. Yeah. You know,
I think it'd be entertaining, but also probably wouldn't get much info out because he would just want to talk about Tua the whole time.
Sure would. That's why we didn't invite him. Justin Herbert on the other side, we'll say, very annoying for Rainmakers. He has superstar status. Not been a whole lot of fun to have those cards. It has been kind of an uphill battle in terms of finding some upside from him, but this is a one-game slate. And the big news, the thing that I feel like I should have just started out with, Mike Williams practiced in full last week. His ankle injury is no more. He is active here for week 14. That is an exciting pairing. I feel like we haven't seen Keenan Allen and Mike Williams running alongside each other since week 1. You know why? Because pretty much been since week 1. How you feeling about, well, other than when Keenan Allen was super limited, but I digress. How you feeling about Justin Herbert here on tonight's slate?
Yeah, it's a one-game slate, so I'm going to like, on most slates, I'm going to like the quarterbacks quite a bit. Justin Herbert, similar to Tua, looks better in the flex than in the captain spot based on the Stokastic single game tool. We have Herbert optimal in the captain spot 9% of the time. Optimal 6% of the time, owned 9% of the time in the captain spot. And then in the util, though, we have him projected for 46% ownership, 48% chance of being optimal. I think that, that strikes me as about right. Like he's going to be in the optimal lineup about 55% of the time. I can't tell you what I am doing because I don't have a single lineup on the slate right now. I did not have a chance to set up my fantasy cruncher because I was too busy first sweating the afternoon games and then having some technical difficulties getting into our Zoom call. So I don't even know if I'm going to be playing much on this slate, but if I were, I think I'd probably want to be right around where the field is on both of these quarterbacks, to be honest.
How about you jump in the 2-2-2 with me? How about we do that?
The 2-2-2, that's interesting.
See, you just jump in, you throw a couple in that, and then you feel like you're satisfied.
You
don't have to think about it too much. I'm doing that, and I'm just running it in like the 15, the 3, and I'm thinking about the 100, the spy, just because, again, I just feel like making one lineup tonight. I don't want to overthink it, and I think I have the nuts. And when you have the nuts, why don't you just enter one lineup?
That is true.
I've told somebody that once upon a time and they won $1 million that day. So
that's saying. Not true. Is that true?
Yes, it is. It's 100% true. Will Shoe, check it up online. My guy. I know he was pushing another site online, but I don't care. He's an amazing Twitter human being. And I basically said on a show, I was like, hey, if you had the nuts, just run it and everything. He ran one lineup and he won the milli, the $3, the $1, like everything straight down the line. That's
hilarious. And he's been doing it ever since too. He plays that one lineup in every contest. I met Will at the Tournament of Champions last year. Nice guy. Invited me to a game at Lambeau this year. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make it, but very nice guy.
Will, if you're watching, also, yes, Bojan up to 16. I am very, very aware. We are about to party like it's 1999. Shout out Prince, Minnesota. That's how the connection works. Eric Traub, cut the crap. I need a Niels nobody. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there here next, but we got to round out the quarterback position. My guy, hashtag Team Eric, hashtag, just because you got to do it. But we do have to talk quarterbacks on this slate. I know that it's so easy to just say, hey, we want to play a lot of both of them, the same way that it seems like, hey, we want to play every tight end in 2021. And then in 2022, hey, I want to play every kicker because that seems to be what it is, the year of the kicker. How are we feeling about both Tua and Justin Herbert in the flex? I saw that question earlier. How do you feel about both of them in the same lineup?
Yeah, I mean, if you can fit them both in, I think that they're both great plays. Both of them are guys that I prefer to have with pass catchers. So, you get a little bit limited. They are expensive, makes it a little bit tough, but I think it's certainly viable. I think both these guys could throw for multiple touchdowns. You're probably not going to be, you're not going to be able to play both of them along with like Tyreek Hill and Austin Eckler. So you're going to have to make some concessions, but I think that's certainly something that I would have in a 150 set, I'd have several of lineups with both of them because I'm going to have, I think I would have more than 50% of each of these guys. So you're going to run into some overlap. And yeah, I think it's certainly viable if you can make it work.
Yeah, we're going to get to that part of the conversation because I think it really comes down to how you feel about Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill. I have one guy that I'm just going to be jamming on this slate in my one lineup, if you will. He's my captain right now. We'll talk about him as well. I'm going to build out a couple of other lineups as we're going along, but I can guarantee you Jalen Waddle will be a part of every single one. There's just no way that I'm not jamming Waddle in this spot. We'll talk about some of the reasons why, but I think that because I'm so high on Waddle, I'm getting to builds where I have Justin Herbert, Tua, and I'm kind of avoiding one of Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill. I don't think it's all that intrusive or that cost difficulty to get to 3 of the 4. It's almost impossible to get to all 4 in some capacity. So Jalen Waddle, be my God, be my boy. You have been all year long until last week against San Francisco, but everybody except for, everybody sucks against San Francisco. Pretty good defense confirmed. Anything else you want to talk about with the quarterbacks? Feels pretty straightforward. You want to get to both. It's weird to say that I prefer Tua Tagovailoa in this spot, but I do prefer him. Do you as well? Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I don't have a strong lead. I guess I think I am with you that I prefer Tua somewhat. I think both of these guys are guys that I want to have at least one pass catcher with them in every lineup that I have either of these quarterbacks in, and I prefer having 2 if you have them in the captain spot. Herbert has a little bit more rushing upside than Tua, so I think he's a little bit more viable in the captain spot with just one pass catcher in the flex. But in general, I prefer multiple if you have them in the captain spot.
All right, cool. We're making such great time. But first, I just want to let you guys know that if you have legalized sports betting in your state, all 1,000 of you guys watching this right now, head to the video description box below, sign up at BetMGM, and hey, maybe you're signed up at DraftKings and FanDuel already, and you're like, I don't need another sports book. Well, one, we have Odd Shopper. You can literally shop for lines and find the best line no matter where it is, and it takes you like 2 seconds to look it up. So you want exposure to as many sports books as possible. But number 2, you're getting up to $1,000 risk-free bet. Say you just want to put $100 on the game tonight. You could deposit 100, and if you don't win with that bet, you're going to have another 100 to bet on something else down the line. So it's truly a no-brainer. It's just a no-brainer. It's not the no-brainer. God, I hate this picture of me. It's not the no-brainer, but it is absolutely, without a doubt, the most risk-free thing you can do because regardless of the outcome of your bet, you're getting that money back. So go to BetMGM, sign up in the video description box below, click on that link. You deposit $10 or more, which takes you all of a minute to put your credit card info on to deposit $10. You put any bet that you possibly want into play tonight, your first bet. And when that gets settled, so don't bet a futures for the Lakers or some shit right now, bet $10 or more on anything going on in the game. And you're going to get yourself, in addition to a risk-free bet, 2 free months of Stokastic Platinum right now. Yeah, 2 free months of everything behind the paywall, the ownership projections, the top stacks tool, top showdown tool, top single game plays tool, everything that you could possibly want for what we're talking about right now, you're going to have access to the rest of the season. And hey, once we get to playoff time, it is going to be exponentially more important that you guys have access to these tools. We talk through them on the shows. We talk through Neil and I's process constantly to help you guys make money, but help yourself make money by signing up at BetMGM right now, putting in that bet, and getting that risk-free bet in addition to 2 free months. 2 free months. That's going to basically take you all the way up through the Super Bowl. You'll have the rest of NFL covered for yourself. So stop guessing, start winning. Join us at Stokastic today through BetMGM. Thank you to them. Cool. We go to the running back position, and it has to start on the Miami side. They're the road team here. We saw Raheem Mostert take over the backfield again from Jeff Wilson, and I don't know what to make of Jeff Wilson and the fact that he had 1 rushing attempt and saw nothing of the field. It was such a wonky game against San Francisco. I don't know what to make of anything that I saw. Jeff Wilson did get dinged up as well in that Houston game where he was mega chalk on the main slate, but I digress. Who do you prefer between Mostert and Wilson tonight?
I mean, I think it's definitely a good sign for Raheem Mostert that he played 61% of snaps in the last game. I agree with you that was a very different game script. It went very strange for them. I don't know that it is as informative as if it were a game that were similar to this one. I'm going to have to look at what their ownership is. So currently we have Raheem Mostert actually fairly low ownership, 17% projected
Mm-hmm.
ownership in the util, 15% chance to be an optimal. So he actually looks a little bit overowned, but that is lower ownership than I was anticipating for Raheem Mostert. Oh yeah, Jeff Wilson coming in higher. That's interesting that we have, I mean, basically
It's
neutral, but
insanity.
kind of positive leverage on Jeff Wilson in the util, 20% projected ownership, 20.4% chance of being optimal. I mean, essentially neutral in the util. They both have negative leverage in the captain spot. I think that we don't have a large sample size of these guys, and we're projecting Raheem Mostert to get lower ownership. I prefer Mostert. I mean, even though we have negative leverage here, I think that's based on some assumptions, and I don't think that we really have a large enough sample size to, have a strong indicator of which of these guys is going to be the back. So I actually think that I prefer Mostert. He's 5,600, Jeff Wilson 6,200, and Mostert, getting lower ownership. I think he's pretty clearly the guy for me that I prefer. Do you see it differently?
I prefer Mostert. I think everybody seems to be going back to Jeff Wilson in a way that I just don't want to at 6,200. Now, that being said, he is not in my one lineup that I have right now. Neither of these guys are in one of my lineups, but I do think if I were playing 150, I would be playing a lot more Mostert. And I'm building out another lineup in like the 15 as we're going along. I'm going to have Mostert. I doubt I get to much Jeff Wilson. Now, maybe we get to the flip and it ends up being the inverse. Everybody sees what we see. I mean, you look at Jeff Wilson's box score last time against San Francisco. It doesn't inspire enthusiasm or awe. We'll put it that way, Neil Orfield. But I think that Raheem Mostert, surely playing over 60% of the snaps, I think he's guaranteed to have some sort of a role here, no matter what. I think they want to be slinging it. They are favorites on the road here in this spot. And it's not like the Charger faithful are all that loud or enthusiastic over at the old SoFi Stadium. But we shall see. I think it's going to be a lot of Miami fans. It's kind of the way the LA fan bases work. But
Yeah.
let's jump to, well, do we want to talk about Myles Gaskin? I think he was inactive last time. He's inactive this game, correct?
Yep, he is.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
I'll say this. So Nick, who watches every Dolphins game, says that he thinks that Jeff Wilson is still the guy prior to last week's 3 straight games with a touchdown. So if you want the opinion of a Dolphins fan who watches all the games,
Raheem Mostert was out for one of those games, for 2 of those games, week 11, week 12, right? They had a bye in the middle of that somewhere. They had a bye in there, but he was out for
week 11. Raheem Mostert was out week 12, and he only played 28% of snaps week 10, and I believe he got hurt. So
yep, he got hurt in like the very early on.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's Nick watches the games. He knows how the coaches talk about these guys. He's a huge Dolphins fan, but I still prefer Mostert. I'm also biased. I have a ton of Mostert in best ball, and I do not have any Jeff Wilson in best ball. So I'm very much cheering for Mostert too. So maybe that's factoring in as well. But he's cheaper, and he's, getting lower ownership. And the last game, it looked very much like Mostert was the guy. I don't know. All signs to me point to Mostert has. If it were the other way, if we were seeing Jeff Wilson getting very low ownership, if we saw that like everybody, looked at the last game and they think that Mostert is the guy, then I would gamble the other way. But because we're not seeing that, I'm like, well, let's just go with what the signs are pointing us towards.
The Brostert with the Mostert.
The Brostert with the Mostert.
I tried. That's the best I could come up with on the fly. I apologize to everybody involved, especially my family. I will never do it again. Alec Ingold is somebody people want to talk about. The fullback, the big old fullback out there, Alec Ingold. He's 1,400. He has done it before, but I can't do it. I'm not going to do it in any lineups. How do you feel about Alec Ingold? If you were playing a fuller allotment of lineups, would you be getting to him?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's been targeted 17 times on the year. He's run 117 routes. He's just been, that's enough of involvement that at very low ownership and a very low price tag, he's got, his price tag at 1,400 is low enough that like one touchdown maybe gets him into the optimal, not necessarily in a very high scoring game, but certainly helps. So having that low price tag and as I said, 117 routes run on the year, 17 targets. That's nowhere near the team leaders. Tyreek Hill, 127 targets, Jalen Waddle, 88. But he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7th on the team in targets on the year. He's not getting, I think I have some interest in Alec Ingold, and I think he's always live to vulture a touchdown as well. So yeah, at 1,400, I think, and very little ownership, I think that he is a guy that I would have some interest in. I'd want to be above the field when the field is at, I believe, 5%. Where do we have Ingold? We have Ingold at 5.4% projected ownership. I should say we have negative leverage on him in the tools, 2.9% chance of being optimal in our sims. But again, that these tools kind of assume that you can use the full salary. Like they don't put any kind of limitation on your salary. I would guess that if you limit it to lineups that leave salary on the table and try to avoid being duplicated, he would be optimal more frequently.
He for sure would. My goodness. I want to get to a little Alec Ingold now. I'm talking myself into maybe trying to enter some stuff quick while we're on the show. Shouldn't probably talk through the process of that. Let's go to the Charger side, where I think the most uncomfortable fade that I'm running into on this entire slate is that of Austin Ekeler. If you look at our top showdown tool, which again, I don't want to give you all of the things. I want you guys to check that out. We have an offer going for you guys to get 3 days free. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Austin Ekeler, the most negatively leveraged play. And why would that be? He only played 60% of the snaps there in week 13 in a Vegas Raider spot where I expected him to be utilized a lot more in the passing game than what he was. Still, 6 targets sounds lovely, but you compare that to 15, 12, 12, 16 he had in 4 of the previous 6 weeks to that. Doesn't really look great. And when you're only playing 60% of the snaps, they have a healthy Joshua Kelly. He's starting to get mixed in, especially on the ground, 7 carries last game. I do not like Austin Ekeler for this slate. I think he's going to come in overowned. Are you with me? And then also, what are you supposed to do with this guy? Because he could absolutely nuke this slate.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm entirely with you. I look at the tools and I'm like, damn, we only have him the optimal captain 3.4% of the time. Such massive negative leverage, 10% projected ownership, 3.4% chance of being optimal in the captain spot. That is really, really.
Well, think about it too. You're going to get Mike Williams back into the fray. That's got to cut into some of the passing game work, no?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. Certainly compared to these Michael Bandy guys who I've been recommending on some of these showdown slates. Mike Williams is a pretty big upgrade there. You would think that is going to cut into the passing game work a little bit for Austin Ekeler, but he's one of those guys that it's certainly not a comfortable fade. As you said, it's not a comfortable fade with Austin Ekeler. He's a guy who can get, as you also said, like 12 targets in a game, and it doesn't surprise you. And they're all easily catchable targets. So when that happens, it's like if he gets those 12 targets and they're 3 yards down the field, he's probably catching those balls. It's a very difficult fade for me, Austin Ekeler. I like him a lot better in the flex than the captain spot. In the flex, he actually looks pretty neutral. 36.4% projected ownership, 34.3% chance of being optimal. It's tough because of the price tag. He's more expensive than either of Tua or Justin Herbert. He's a little bit less expensive than Tyreek Hill. It's really hard. Like I don't want to fade him, but all of these things are like weighing against him a little bit. So I would probably be a little bit under the field, to be honest, if I were doing a full set. It's weird because I would be inclined to play him in the captain spot because if he's having a big game, like once they start throwing it to him, oftentimes they just keep going there if that's like the spot that's open. But that's not what the tools indicate at all. So I think you got to trust him. So maybe play Austin Ekeler where you're playing him, play him more often in the util.
So Bojan's at 31 points. So I think we surpassed 17.5. I needed on my 12.5 unit bet, didn't I?
Damn, 12.5 unit. Seems like a big bet.
It sounds make-believe, but this is the things you do when Bojan Bogdanovic is listed at 17.5. Let's fucking go. I've said it twice. That's more than I've ever said it on a show before. It's very inappropriate, and I apologize to my family. Again, that's 2 apologies to my family. I'm going to apologize to them for this, too. I'm playing Joshua Kelly. He is in that lineup. He is super low owned. We've got him at, 5.9% in our last run. He does have negative leverage. We have him, absolutely as, maybe the worst play in the history of humanity. But if I'm not playing Austin Ekeler, how does that not work out? Well, I think there's a path for Joshua Kelly to maybe get a goal line touch, to maybe have things work out. Am I crazy for this? I feel like he's a play. That was weird. I feel like he's a better play than maybe the tools are even suggesting.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Yeah, you're right. The tools hate Joshua Kelly. He is kind of expensive at 5,400, but I think he's a similar play to some of these. I mean, we just saw Benny Snell hit recently, he was a little bit cheaper than Joshua Kelly. The only real issue I have with Joshua Kelly is the price tag. So it's going to take more than one touchdown to pay off that 5,400 price tag. But as you said, looking at just the recent game logs, Joshua Kelly in the most recent game played 43% of snaps. I don't know what happened there, why he got such a big boost in snap share. I don't recall Austin Eckler being hurt at all. Austin Eckler only played 60% of snaps in that game. Maybe they're gearing up for the playoffs. But yeah, I think if Joshua Kelly is going to play 43% of snaps or anything close to that, he's going to be interesting at very little ownership. Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like, I don't love it. It's not my favorite play because of that price tag. The 5,400 price tag is a little bit prohibitive. So I don't love him like I would if he were 400 or 1,000 or 1,400. But I still think that he is certainly a viable play at 5.9% projected ownership.
I think he has to be considered at that kind of ownership. How often do you get like the backup running back in this kind of a spot this low owned? I don't understand entirely what's going on with the ownership here. Maybe we just assume that he goes back up to 70% snap share, but I would argue our tools almost suggest that they just hate the entire Chargers pass or running game altogether. So I got to find some kind of paths to get a little bit different. I think Joshua Kelly makes some sense there. Any other ancillary options you could look at? Obviously, my boy Sonny Michel continues to be inactive. Isaiah Spiller's a dude who has a pulse. Xander Horvath, which sounds like a porn name. Anybody else that looks nice to you?
Well, first, I just want somebody in chat asked, is Kelly a different play on FanDuel with him being 6K? Anthony Masili asked. So I'm looking at the FanDuel tool, and I would say, just like in a vacuum, yes, he is a different play. He's a much better play on FanDuel at 6,000. Like, that's way more interesting to me than 5,400 on DraftKings. So 6,000 is near the min on FanDuel. So I actually like him even better on FanDuel than on DraftKings. Joshua Kelly at 6,000. He actually looks really good in the tools too, though. We see him util optimal. I feel like I'm reading this wrong because the util optimal on Joshua Kelly on FanDuel says 14.6%, and he looks like a phenomenal play on FanDuel. So I'm feeling like there's something that I'm missing here. But yeah, I like him quite a bit on FanDuel, regardless of the tools. I like him better on FanDuel than on DraftKings. Other than Joshua Kelly and Austin Eckler at the running back position, yeah, Xander Horvath, I don't have a ton of interest in. Played 3 snaps in the last game. He's a fullback. I don't see myself getting there. Isaiah Spiller, I don't know what's the deal with Isaiah Spiller.
Spiller, I hardly even know her.
Game. Yeah, that's true. He missed the last game. I wonder if he could cut into Josh. Do we have to be concerned that he's going to cut into Joshua Kelly at all? He hasn't really been that involved anyway, but maybe that's a little bit of a wrinkle going against Joshua Kelly, but I'd be more inclined to play Joshua Kelly than Isaiah Spiller. He's been getting more work. So yeah, I think for me, it's Austin Eckler, Joshua Kelly. What is Spiller's price tag? I'm debating whether I would have maybe a little bit of interest there. Oh, it's not FanDuel. He's also 6,000 on DraftKings. He is
the master 200. Is debating.
Yeah, 200 for Isaiah Spiller. I still think that I prefer Joshua Kelly, but it's the price tag makes him a little bit more interesting just because, as the blowout garbage time running back, most likely would be Isaiah Spiller. He's the young guy coming in. Maybe if there were an injury to Austin Eckler, maybe Spiller gets a little bit more run. I think that there are outs for Spiller. So I think that he's likely to score 0 fantasy points, but I do think at this low of ownership at 2.7%, I actually do have interest in Isaiah Spiller as well. I think I would be over that 2.7%. Maybe I'd play 5% in a 150 set.
All right. Anything else from running back you feel like the people need to know?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, we need to get to the main event. That would be wide receiver. There are a couple we want to play on tonight's slate. Just throwing it out there. But first, no house advantage. They are the Bojan Bogdanovic of the DFS industry. And what do I mean? It means they're a print fest. When you take the over of the points prop in Bojan Bogdanovic's favor, he hits every single time for my. I just love this man more than life itself. But I also love no house advantage so much. And here is why. Overlay. It's the best thing you can possibly do for your bankroll. It's the best possible thing you can do right now while you're on this show. We have the Sunday Night Football Showdown, 5K to first. We're playing player props, and we have all the tools to help you be successful at Stokastic with free projections. All you need to do is sign up using promo code Stokastic to get up to a $50 first match deposit bonus and jump in this $15, just $15 to play over at No House Advantage. It is 37% full, less than 450 entries currently out of 1,200 in the $15. Would you like 5K? I think a lot of you guys, including myself, would love a nice little 5K payout. And your best chance for it tonight is playing at no house advantage. You have player props 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to put the ones we're most confident in at that top number. Man, they have Jalen Waddle up to 74.5. That is a big number. I'm over on 68.5 some places, but Jalen Waddle, that is a big number sitting there for him. I love less than 58.5 rushing yards for Jeffrey Wilson. That is something that I would definitely be taking a look at. Use OddsShopper to cross-reference some of these props. Use the free projections and the free lineups that we have at Stokastic.com. You simply go to the NFL tab, check out those free projections that we have going for you, put the lineups directly in, and win yourself some serious cash. Once again, Overlay, they are paying you guys. They are literally paying you to jump into this tournament. It is so good. I can't recommend it highly enough to jump in using promo code Stokastic. If I weren't on the show, I would be playing every single dollar I possibly could over at No House Advantage tonight. I'll let you guys do that for me. I will let you guys take advantage of it because 5K to first, your best opportunity to win money tonight is over there. Check it out. Promo code Stokastic. Thank you so much to them for their sponsorship of this great show, but check it out now. We have a super chat first here before we jump over to the wide receiver position, my friend Zachary Erikellian. There we go. That's a great last name. Hill, Mostert, or Herbert Everett for FanDuel single entry. We haven't talked a ton of the blue side here. I'm jumping over and taking a look at a couple of these. So Hill and Mostert. Hill, he has dynamic playmaking ability, whether it's PPR, half-point PPR, zero PPR, whatever you want to call it. Tyreek Hill has it. But Herbert and Everett on the other side of that, which one do you prefer between the two?
Man, that's really tough. I'm looking on FanDuel right now. Herbert and Everett.
The second one I have a little bit higher projected. The first one, it looks like, is the one that my brain is saying go with Hill Mostert.
I think me too. It also like it doesn't have the same correlation with Hill Mostert, but I think I'm still leaning there a little bit. That's really tough though. That's a very good 2v2. I think that I slightly lean Hill Mostert, but honestly, it's a real toss up for me. Should we? I mean, you just answered this super chat. We haven't gone over Eric Traub's super chat still.
Oh, no, I wanted to get to it. Trust me, I got a pin in it because I think
good. Okay.
I want to make sure he gets it. We're gonna give it to him before 5 p.m. here. Screw it, do it now. Who's your favorite sub 10%? That's usually the barometer, Eric Traub. I want to know who is your Oscar the Grouch in the trash can that we're trying to make a thing tonight.
Yeah, let me get back to DraftKings. Sort by util ownership. I'm tempted to say Chargers defense, which is coming in at 10% ownership on a defense. I mean, it's not the strongest play against Tua, and he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, and they're a high scoring offense. But any defense, I mean, 3,600 coming in at 10% ownership. I'm tempted there. I don't know that it's where it necessarily go. I think for me, it is probably. Man, both of these tight ends for Miami, also very interesting. Mike Gesicki, he played like 20% of snaps in the last game for the Dolphins. So like the snap share is way down, but we're not projecting much ownership at all. And I am inclined to think that that's probably a little bit of a fluke. He played a total of 9 snaps in the last game. Sort of inclined to say that that's going to be fluky and he's going to come up from that number, but I don't really know for sure. Durham Smythe played 59% of snaps in the last game. He's also coming in at very low ownership, but I think I'm leaning still towards DeAndre Carter. We have him projected for 4% ownership. I know that Mike Williams is coming back, but we still have 2 receivers on the depth chart ahead of DeAndre Carter who are injury prone. And I'm not sure that we're expecting Mike Williams to be a full go. I know he practiced all week, but I still think there's a good chance that DeAndre Carter retains some role here. He is the number 4 receiver at this point. But again, both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams very live to get re-aggravate an injury mid-game. Like these guys just get hurt pretty frequently. So I have some interest, and regardless of whether they do, I think that DeAndre Carter is going to retain some role in this offense. Maybe it's 25% of snaps, but at his 4,800 price tag, I think that it's probably DeAndre Carter. It's between DeAndre Carter and these two. I mean, actually, they're coming in. I was struggling to find anybody that like. Now I'm like, I kind of like DeAndre Carter. I sort of have interest in both Gesicki and Durham Smythe. And then you can throw in, we talked about Isaiah Spiller as a guy who he's very much a boom bust. Like I think there's a good chance he doesn't really play, but I think that he also has a chance to potentially boom at that $200 price tag. And then also Alec Ingold we talked about. So now there are a number, and we talked about Joshua Kelly. I think that if I had to choose one, it's going to be DeAndre Carter, probably followed by Mike Gesicki and then Durham Smythe.
All right. So the pen is smithier than the sword?
The pen is smithier. The pen. Where's the pen come from? No, I'm trying to figure it out. It's a
saying, Neil. It's a goddamn saying. Okay.
Oh, the pen. Okay. I was thinking that one of these names had a pen in them, so I was just looking for like how it related to
the pen is mightier.
I know
the penis mightier. Yeah, you could have done that one too, but
yeah,
it's whatever. Good. I'm trying for you. I'm really trying. Who are the Davion Mitchell and Malik Monks of this football slate? T McBee, shout out my guy in the chat. I'm guessing they aren't doing so well. I'm not looking at it. Malik Monk, just inflict pain upon my life. That guy is just out of control. Julius Randle just got ejected, so I'm not even looking at NBA anymore, even though Bojan Bogdanovic, keep being a god for me. Keep being a god. Let's get to more wide receiving options. The guys, these are the star attractions of this evening. I don't think it's remotely close. We have, from the Dolphins side, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. In Rainmakers, I mean, it's just like such absurd how the prices for these guys have gotten out of control, and they should, because they're about as good as it gets. Yep. The best 1-2 tandem, I think, in the NFL this season. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing me say that. Put that and clip that in a soundbite, Nick Lepre. But how you feeling about these two tonight? Feel pretty unfadable, huh?
Yeah, they're definitely fairly unfadable. Tyreek Hill looks great. Neutral in the captain spot, 17.8% projected ownership, 17.2% chance to be an optimal. So, pretty neutral, slight negative leverage there, just because the price is so prohibitive. That $11,400 price tag on Tyreek Hill makes it a little bit tough to captain him, but looks even better in the util spot, 50% projected ownership, 54% chance to be an optimal. He's just been one of the most targeted players in the entire NFL. He might be like right at the top there. He's been targeted 127 times through 12 games. That is just insane. 387 routes run. Jalen Waddle then coming up just behind him in terms of routes run at 380, but then all the way down at 88 targets, which is still a very high number, just relative to the frequency with which Tyreek Hill is targeted. Jalen Waddle, it doesn't look as crazy as Tyreek Hill. So yeah, Tyreek Hill, clearly the wide receiver one, but Jalen Waddle looks great as well, coming in at 8.5% projected ownership in the captain spot, 7.9% chance to be an optimal, 36% util ownership, 38% chance to be an optimal. Both of these guys just look, they look great. These are two of the best wide receivers in the league. As you said, probably the best wide receiver duo in the entire NFL. I'm trying to think of if there's anybody who's close up there, and I'm not sure that there is. I think these guys
don't think so. Tyreek Hill's number one in PFF's grading out of 119 qualified wide receivers. Jalen Waddle is 11th. I think just by those two numbers alone, in terms of what they've done this season, how good they've been. And shout out Tua. He's definitely exceeded my expectations for him. No question. Third amongst the 37 qualified quarterbacks at the position. Everything is all systems go. Shout out coaches. Hashtag coaches matter. That's for damn sure. But I think Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill, you're really paying the full freight on. I think Jalen Waddle makes an intriguing. He's the guy in the captain slot on my one lineup at the moment. I am just obsessed with him. I've just firmly believe that he was the best option coming out of Alabama, the wide receiver you wanted to go get in the draft. He's just continued to be that guy. You put him with Tyreek Hill. It's been a little bit unfair, but Trent Sherfield has had moments, especially that San Francisco took one catch to the house, 75 yards to start off that game. Didn't go well after that, but it was a great start to the football game. You have another option there, Cedric Wilson, who does punt return, and you could maybe get that correlated defense. We saw it for the first time in forever with Donovan Peoples-Jones and the Cleveland Browns defense. It's a thing that can happen. How are you feeling about other wide receiver options from Miami?
Yeah, so those two are the clear top options for Miami. After those, Trent Sherfield's probably next up on the list. Has played over 60% of snaps in each of the past 5 games. He appears to be wide receiver 3 on the depth chart. He's the next two I would have in play. Looking at the tools, to the dismay of Sean V, who says I look at the tools too much. He's been giving this feedback lately. I'm like, if anything, Sean,
Somebody else just said that they were sorry that
enough.
you had to deal with me. Like they are literally apologetic.
I didn't see that. I did not see that. No, I love dealing with Lindy.
I love dealing with you too, baby. Talk dirty to me.
Trent Sherfield. He's 4,600, plays over 60% of snaps, 1.9% projected ownership in the captain spot, 2.4% chance of being optimal in the captain spot. Positive leverage there. In the util, looks fairly neutral as well. 14% projected ownership, 13.4% chance of being optimal. He's a nice way to save some salary. Maybe a guy who you can put into your lineup and leave a little salary on the table. So I think he's a guy that I would definitely have interest in some of my lineups at relatively low ownership.
Set it and forget it. Yeah, Trent Sherfield. You can definitely do that. 4,600. Just take another one to the house. Sounds great to me. Let's jump to the Chargers side because I think that this is also very, very intriguing. How much time do we have left? Just making sure I'm monitored. Yeah, we have 20 minutes. I was going to say, I always got to.
Oh, do we have 20?
Yeah, it should be a 5:20. This happens all the time on the Sunday night and the Monday night difference because it was listed as 5:15, but I know that it locks in 19 minutes. So it should be good at the 5:20 my time mark at this point. Super confusing once in a while. Nobody else cares, but
before we move on, so I just want to touch on, there were two more wide receivers for the Dolphins. I just want to say,
oh no,
Cedric Wilson looks pretty interesting. He's 200. He actually looks great in the tools. 2.3% projected ownership in the captain spot, 4.2% chance of being optimal in the captain spot, 11% projected ownership in the util, 14.5% chance of being optimal in the util. He played 20% of snaps in the most recent game, but played 43% the game before that. At the $200 price tag, it would take one touchdown to pay off that price tag. So hard not to have some interest in Cedric Wilson. And then River Craycraft, I'm interested to see how he looks in our is he not playing? Maybe I missed it. I think he's inactive.
Just say River Craycraft 5 times fast.
River Craycraft. I'm not going to. You can't make me. You can't make me rap, and you can't make me say River Craycraft 5 times fast. I believe that he tried. Inactive, though. I did try, and that's why I say you can't make me, because you really can't, because I can't do it. I think he was inactive though. Let me double check that, which is part of the reason that Cedric Wilson is looking better.
Yeah, he's inactive.
Okay. Yeah. So Cedric Wilson, we just have 4 guys you really need to consider. That does make me a little bit more interested. He with his snap share is likely to go up with River Craycraft out.
See, I talked about all the guys. I had you covered, baby. You tried to be so.
Okay, I didn't know that you talked
Trust
about
in me.
I missed you talking about Cedric Wilson, but
trust in me, I'll be your shelter. Good. We got Keenan Allen, we've got Mike Williams. Now, these two are difficult to figure out exactly what I want to do with either. I added some more lineups, so here we go. Best of luck to me in the next 18 minutes. But I feel as though a really good captain option, when we're not talking about when we're just talking about being captain optimal, not necessarily having the top score on the slate, because he's only got a 4.9% chance of being the top score on the slate, but a 6.2% captain optimal percentage is Keenan Allen. He has positive leverage going his direction. I'm worried that might not be the case. Maybe people are legitimately worried Mike Williams is just going to cut into that share. I'll tell you one thing. DeAndre Carter, very difficult to play on this kind of a slate, but Keenan Allen, we saw 96% of the snaps in week 13. We saw 89% in week 12. This bodes so well for the hamstring possibly being a thing of the past, fingers crossed, that I have to play this guy more than the average bear. How are you feeling about Keenan Allen on tonight's slate? Are you with me?
Yeah, Keenan Allen's a stud. I mean, he, as you said, played 96% of snaps in the most recent game. That does give me a little bit more confidence. He is a little bit injury prone. It scares me a little bit, but he's 8,200. He's a nice way to save some salary on, all the other studs. A lot of them are over 10,000. So it's a really nice price tag on Keenan Allen, one of the few guys who can put up 30 fantasy points, and he's maybe the cheapest. I guess Mike Williams might be in that bucket as well. Arguably Joshua Palmer, but I like the price tag on Keenan Allen. I think he looks great. 7% projected ownership in the captain spot, 7.2% chance of being optimal in the util, 33% ownership, 35% chance of being optimal. We've got positive leverage. The price is right. You can, if you want to leave a little bit of salary on the table, it's easier to do that with Keenan Allen than it is with Justin Herbert, Tua, Tyreek Hill, et cetera, et cetera. So I like him quite a bit as well.
I also like a lot of the builds where I'm leaving more salary on the table, getting to Keenan Allen, and I maybe just ditch out on Austin Eckler, ditch out on Tyreek Hill. Again, this is kind of strange hand building. I haven't hand built out football lineups in a very long time. Kind of enjoying it.
It's
as
fun.
I'm toying around with stuff. Yeah, it is kind of fun. I should do this more often. I'll like hand build out maybe one big lineup for the week, but otherwise, for the most part, I'm always just tweaking stuff on Cruncher. So this is enjoyable to kind of think about it and be more granular about it. Keenan Allen, though, yeah, I like the way some of these lineups look to leave more salary on the table. I think he's a very intriguing option, simply because whenever you see that captain optimal percentage come up a little bit, I think that just speaks to how good of an opportunity there is for him to sneak in. I mean, you look at Tyreek Hill, 36.5% of the time he's the top scorer in this game, over a third of the time, but a captain optimal percentage there of just 14.7%. Guarantee you, when we looked at that captain ownership, that he's going to be a little overowned in that spot. Whereas I don't necessarily think that ends up being true of Keenan Allen based on the tools. Mike Williams, we don't have a confirmed snap count that we're looking at, but I feel pretty good about his opportunity considering he did practice in full. He was a full go here. It's an ankle injury that it seems as though he's ready to rock now. They need him on the field. They need to win football games, specifically this one, to get back on track if they're going to have any chance at the playoffs. What is your plan for Mike Williams? Because this is a difficult call.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more difficult than Keenan Allen. I think that there's a real good chance that he is a full go here. So I think that he is certainly playable. But part of the reason that I have interest in DeAndre Carter is that I'm not all that confident that they're going to immediately throw Mike Williams out there for 100% of snaps. He might be, 50% of snaps, and that might be enough to get him going. Even at 50% of snaps, it doesn't necessarily kill you. Mike Williams is a guy who can put up a big score on one play. We've got him at 4.5% projected ownership in the captain spot, 4.5% chance to be an optimal. He's actually extremely neutral, 25.4% chance. 25.4% projected ownership in the util, 25.3% chance to be an optimal. So extremely neutral in both spots. I think I'd be more inclined to fade Mike Williams than Keenan Allen. But I think that he's a fine play. He's a little bit risky because he is coming back from injury. I'm not sure that we can be all that confident that he's going to be a full go. Let's see what he's done before. He played, okay. So after his first absence, so he played the first 7 weeks of the year, then he missed 3 weeks, came back in week 11 and played a total of 6 snaps. I assume that he re-aggravated his injury
Sure
in
did.
week 11. Yeah, and then he missed the next.
Well, ankle. It was an ankle deal, yeah.
Right. But the fact that he re-aggravated in that game certainly gives you a little bit of pause. It's risky, but he can pay off that salary pretty easily, and he can absolutely destroy a slate as well. So he's a guy that I would probably not try to take a huge stand on. My guess, if I were doing a 150 set, I'd be slightly under the field on Mike Williams, or honestly, probably with the field being at just around 30%, I'd probably be right with the field on Mike Williams.
Okay.
Not taking a big stand either way.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's tough to know exactly what to expect. I expect probably more than I think the public might. This is just the one feeling that you get as well when people are hand building out lineups. Like, I am literally going through the experience of it still feels uncomfortable to click on him at 7,000 next to Keenan Allen at 8,200. Find it far easier to click on Allen with the snap counts you've seen the last 2 weeks. But that makes it very interesting for tournaments. All you need is one big play from Mike Williams. That's somebody that's intriguing to try to get to some shares of. What do you think ends up happening to the Josh Palmer role? Because we have seen multiple times week 2 against Kansas City. I guess that was coming off of week 1, Keenan Allen getting hurt against Vegas. But it's been Josh Palmer that's really taken over as that wide receiver 2 in the absence of Mike Williams, at times with the absence of Keenan Allen too. How does he kind of fit in on this slate for you at 6,800? That is wild to see him just 200 away from Mike Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's the pretty clear wide receiver 3 if everybody is healthy. It's just the question is Mike Williams going to be playing a full snap count? And I'm not confident that he is. If I had to guess, I would guess that Mike Williams plays fewer than 70% of snaps. Of course, I have no idea. He might be, as you said, he was practicing in full the past few days at least. So there is some chance that he's a full go and he's going to play every snap. But I would guess that he's at least a little bit limited, and that Josh Palmer is going to be, working as the wide receiver 2 when Mike Williams is not out there. When Mike Williams is out there, Josh Palmer is going to be the wide receiver 3. So he is going to see a little bit of a reduction in his role, but I'm more confident in Josh Palmer retaining his role than DeAndre Carter. I think that Josh Palmer is going to be the wide receiver 3. He's certainly playable even at 6,800. I think that he almost probably has I think that he has a higher floor than Mike Williams. He doesn't have the same ceiling as Mike Williams, but I think that he is going to be out there for most of the snaps. And I'm not sure about, Mike Williams. There's a little bit more volatility in his just snap share. So I think that, Josh Palmer, a little bit higher floor, but probably he doesn't have quite the same ceiling that Mike Williams has.
No injury designation. This guy thinks he's running 70% of snaps. I don't know what that means. I don't know who we're talking about when you're saying that. I'm just saying that he legitimately just got off an ankle injury. I think he's going to play as many snaps.
He's talking about me. So I said that I think he's playing 70% or fewer of snaps, even though he has no injury dezegation. Yeah, that happens all the time. Players return from injury. It does happen all the time. They have no injury designation and they're limited. That's part of football. It happens regularly. So it's not a weird thing to think.
I think it's happened more, and maybe this is just me making assumptions, but also it's pretty much a fact when you look at Kadarius Toney, when you look at Deebo Samuel, seems as though hamstrings seem to be something that they throttle up a little bit differently. Ankle injuries, it's like sometimes you're just kind of ready to rock. You can end up having like a quad or a hamstring issue if you're really not fixed from that ankle. But we all know Mike Williams, the injury history he has. I'm assuming that he's good to go and they need him to go. Like that's the other part of this equation. Their season is over if he doesn't go and doesn't give them something here because they need to win this football game. Let's talk the other options. I guess DeAndre Carter, we kind of talked about there for a second. He sees a precipitous drop off, even though we've seen production. He loses the slot, loses all the opportunity. That goes to Keenan Allen primarily here. Mike Williams will be on the outside. Palmer, for sure, I think being the wide receiver 3. We are full on board there. Bandy, Ted Bandy, Michael Bandy, I know. That was a Ted Bundy joke. But anybody else that you're looking at from the Los Angeles Chargers receiver core?
Nope. I think it's just, for me, it's going to be Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and DeAndre Carter. Nobody else I'm throwing out there.
All right, cool. Last read, then we're going to go tight end. We'll go kicker defense, give it the time it deserves, and get ourselves the heck up out of here and watch some football. Actually, I'm going to go work on NBA because never stops, baby. Never stops. But I want you guys to get 3 free days of NFL. That sounds pretty great, right? All you do is go to the video description box below. There's a reference spot. You click on that, and you get yourself 3 full days to check out everything we have here in the Stokastic community. We want you guys to be a part of that. We want you guys to see the same ownership that we're working on. I want you to see the lineup generator, the top stacks tool, everything for NFL that is available. You will get for 3 full days. Yes, 3 days when you sign up in that link below. Sign up now. Super easy. Take advantage of it. Cool. We've got over 1,000 of you guys. Hit that like button too. Haven't been asking for likes because I'm a good human being like that. Just going on my merry way, trying to give you guys all the information. I think we're doing a pretty damn good job. So let's go to the tight end position and keep that rocking. There's really only 2 tight ends that I have any interest in when I'm only playing a handful of lineups. That would be Gerald Everett and Mike Gesicki. Which one of the 2 do you prefer at the tight end position?
Gerald Everett, I'm much more confident in. He's been playing close to 60% of snaps. He's pretty involved in the offense. Mike Gesicki coming off a game in which he played 20% of snaps. That certainly is a little bit scary for me, but we've still got him projected like he's going to be involved. So I think, Gerald Everett, the one that I'm certainly more confident in. The field is also going there, but I like Gerald Everett quite a bit. He actually looks under-owned in the tools, 4.2% projected ownership in the captain spot, 5.6% chance of being optimal. He actually looks great. 20% projected ownership in the util, 24% chance of being optimal. So it's Gerald Everett for me, but Mike Gesicki is coming in at really low ownership, maybe as a result of the fact that he didn't play a ton in the last game. But again, we've got him 0.9% projected ownership in the captain spot, 1.9% chance of being optimal in the captain spot, and then a 9.6% projected ownership in the util, 8.2% chance of being optimal. He's 4,400. He's a guy that we know can put up big games out of nowhere sometimes. Unlikely to happen if he's limited to 20% of snaps, but that looks like a fluke relative to his game logs. He typically is playing more than that. I think that is the low that he's played on the entire year. He's usually playing over 40%, generally over 50% of snaps. So yeah, Mike Gesicki is certainly interested. And when he is out there, he has been, the rumors over the summer were that he was going to be just blocking, like he wasn't going to be used as a pass catcher, but he's been targeted 36 times. So, he's at least somewhat involved in the offense, and he's run 269 routes. So I think that Gesicki is also a good play at low ownership.
Agreed. I think that I like both of those guys. Any other tight end to even touch on, because can't do it.
You can't do it. Durham Smythe plays a ton. He has run 109 routes on the year, so he's just with Cedric Wilson's at 108. I think that's a little bit interesting. 11 targets on the year. I mean, that's like one target a game. Not he's a boom ball. He basically needs to score a touchdown. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's not getting there. Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in Smythe. I'd rather go to Gesicki, but just a little bit because he's coming in so low owned and he is at least out there on the field. But he's not quite cheap enough that I really love the play.
Can we get over 200 likes? I don't think that that's too big of an ask here, especially you need the good juju as we go over to talk about Dicker the kicker and Mr. Jason Sanders. It's going to be lovely. How do you feel about kickers on tonight's slates? Because looks like the most positively leveraged player to get to, once again, a kicker in the tools.
Yeah, kickers generally project really well, and people don't get there quite as much as they should. They almost always look good in the tools, and they're going to again in this game. Both kickers are actually going to look good in this game because both of these teams are capable of putting up a lot of points. Cameron Dicker, as you say, 1.8% projected ownership in the captain spot, 3.7% chance of being optimal. And then in the util, 19.3% projected ownership, 21.6% chance of being optimal. He's 4,200. The price is right. He looks pretty great. And then where is he? I'm not able to find who is the other kicker. Who's the Chargers kicker? I'm blanking on.
Oh, yeah, Dicker the kicker, Cameron Dicker.
Who is the Dolphins kicker?
Oh, Jason Sanders.
Yeah, where's Jason Sanders? I can't find him.
He's a smash. He's the highest. He was the most positively leveraged player.
Oh, here he is. Okay, yeah. Damn. Oh, wow.
Like crazy.
Yeah. 4.5% projected ownership in the captain spot, 8.3% chance of being optimal, 25% ownership in the util, 34% chance of being optimal. That is I was skipping right over. I could not find him. And
it's okay. I try not to say the numbers too much because I know that you're going to say them and I don't want to like double down on the same information. So I try to set you up and
appreciate it.
Then you decide to shoot me down. It's fine. No big deal.
I didn't shoot you down. I was just couldn't find him.
Say the damn man's name. Say his name. You talked about liking the Chargers defense. We have 3 minutes to go. How about the Chargers defense compared and relative to the Miami defense, which is a little bit more popular tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Chargers defense only because they are coming in at such low ownership at 3,600. So I'm just going to have some interest in any time a defense is getting relatively low ownership, and it could come in even lower because people see this and they're like, this is a game where these teams are going to go off. The defense is going to be horrible, but sometimes the offenses can go off and the defense can still have a couple sacks and a pick six and put up a big night. So I think relative to that 10% ownership, I like the Miami defense. Sorry, I am hurrying to set up my fantasy cruncher as we're doing this. But I mean, the Chargers, what are they coming in at? They're coming in at relatively low owner, or sorry, the Dolphins defense coming in also at 13% ownership. So actually, I think I like them. I like them both quite a bit. The Dolphins, especially in the captain spot, 2.8% projected ownership, 4.3% chance of being optimal. They're both pretty interesting at relatively low ownership.
I think you could do worse than defense on this slate, which is not something that I'm used to saying, but what happens when you see these massive total games, 54.5, the highest of the entire week, is you see people be very, very scared to click defense. When you see low totals like the 38.5 we saw in the Tampa and San Fran game, I can guarantee the showdown for that. San Fran the defenses in both sides had to just be jammed in those kind of showdowns. I don't know necessarily if that's the right way to go about your life. I do like the defenses here, though. Neil, why don't you set up your cruncher, get everything done that you need to do here in the last 2 minutes. But I want to just ask you, as you're looking at your numbers there, who are your three highest owned captains on DraftKings?
The highest owned captains are probably going to be the two quarterbacks and Keenan Allen.
All right. And Keenan Allen. I love the Keenan Allen and the captain.
Who are
Waddle's
you?
My favorite captain, but okay. Keenan Allen would be number 2.
Nice.
I love them both. That is for sure. Who are your 3 highest owned utility players?
I have not run the crunch yet, so I can't
gotcha.
really answer that yet.
You have 1 minute, so get to it.
Yeah.
I will kind of get us out of here. Thank you so much to Mike Lawrence, doing a great job behind the scenes there. Did an amazing job. Thank you to No House Advantage. Don't forget to sign up using promo code Stokastic. Get yourself a $50 first deposit match bonus. That's pretty great. Get yourself overlay every single day. NBA, NFL, doesn't matter what it is. You have massive opportunity to make some serious cash over there. Please go take advantage of that right now. Yeah, I think we just got to get ourselves up out of here. Don't forget to hit that like button as well. Neil, we're talking about one of the best Showdown players of all time, if not the best current player alive in the Showdown streets. He is taking time and opportunity out of his day, out of his pocket to help you guys make better decisions, to make better lineups. Definitely hit that like button to show your appreciation for it. But we are now at lock. Did you get your lineups in?
I did not. It appears that I missed by a quarter second. It's all right. I didn't have that many anyway. So I've got one. I've got a little train.
What's the train? What are we cheering for?
What is the train? Let's see here. This is my
Thomas
hand-built
the Tank
lineup.
Engine.
I had Raheem Mostert in the captain spot, Keenan Allen in the flex, Gerald Everett, Mike Gesicki, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa.
Could be worse. Mostert, honestly, sounds contrarian. Raheem Mostert.
It is contrarian.
Man, Neil, I love you so much. Guys, I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out. Once again, hit the like button for my guy over there. Mostert, we want him to go berserk tonight. That's what I want more than anything. We were both higher on him in this spot, but appreciate you all hanging out here. We'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we'll get out of here. We got all the NBA, NFL coverage, everything going the rest of the week. You know the drill by now. We are out of here. He's Neil. He's awesome. I'm Eric. I'm cheering for you. We'll see you guys later.
Good luck.